Beautiful hair and think, why doesn't my hair look like that?
My thinning hair is making me feel so old.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need hair volume from New Nordic. With clinically proven ingredients like apple extract, biotin, and millet, hair volume nourishes your hair follicles to promote thicker, healthier looking hair. Say goodbye to shedding, thin, and dull hair, and hello to thick, healthy hair with hair volume.
Since taking hair volume, the shedding has all but stopped.
Now, instead of being jealous of other women's hair, I have friends who are jealous of mine.
My hairdresser couldn't believe the difference in my hair. Now she's using hair volume too.
Available as a tablet or delicious gummy, hair volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com, or find hair volume in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
How about a simple New Year's resolution, one that even I could achieve? Reverse the clock on hair loss with Advanced Hair's simple one-day FUE treatment. You will feel more confident and more youthful when you witness your own natural hair growing into those places that have been balding or thinning for years. From Advanced Hair's breakthrough technology to their highly experienced team, there is no one I trust more in hair restoration. Their simple FUE treatment begins to regrow your own natural hair the very next day, and your new hair is backed by the Advanced Hair Guarantee. I know from personal experience, Advanced Hair's exceptional standard of care makes your comfort and your results their top priority. Celebrate this new year with a fuller head of hair and get a free consultation, $250 off, and 250 free hair grafts. Call 720-459-HAIR. That's 720-459-HAIR. Discover what meeting your resolution could look like with the before and after pictures at advancedhair.com.
What's up, guys? You need healthy options you'll actually crave? HelloFresh brings the flavor with homemade meals that are wholesome, fresh, and always hit the spot. Turn fresh, balanced ingredients into home-cooked meals that are easy to make and taste great. Keep your health on track with GLP-1 friendly options and high-protein meals packed with over 30 grams of protein. My lady is always telling me how I need more protein in my life. From udon soup to hearty chicken pastas, enjoy mouth-watering dishes that spice up your weeknights. Go to HelloFresh.com to explore plans and menus because nothing hits like home cooking.
New deals, new wheels. AutoNation's New Year, New Wheels event is going on now. Drive any new or used vehicle 0 down and 0 payments for 90 days. Save thousands on Toyotas, Fords, Hondas, Chevys, Mercedes-Benz, and more. 0 down and 0 payments for 90 days. Hurry to your nearest AutoNation store today or AutoNation.com. On select models with approved credit. Interest accrues from date of purchase on deferred payments. See store for details.
At the YMCA, your goals, your crew, your place. Make this year your strongest yet at the Y. Join today at ymca.org/nearme.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Welcome to Denver Sports Tonight, taking a look at the biggest stories in Denver sports. From your online home for the best opinions and information on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more. DenverSports.com.
And it is Denver Sports Tonight on this Wednesday night in the Mile High City. He's James Marilat. I'm Will Peterson. We will roll with you for the next hour on an insanely busy day in Broncos country. Oh, so much happened. And James, I wish we had more than an hour because there is a lot to dive into. How you doing, my friend? I think today it really started feeling like they are playing an AFC title game on Sunday at Empower Field at Mile High.
Yeah, we officially stopped looking back at the Bills game and lamenting the Bo injury, and it's looking forward to Sunday at 1 o'clock against the Patriots. So it felt good, right? It was fun to bask in the win. It was painful to talk over and over and over again about Bo's injury, but now it is what it is, so here we go. Let's get ready for Sunday.
Yeah, and we will get ready by talking about the news of the day, which was Jarrett Stidham meeting with the media for the first time. I thought he had a fantastic press conference. I thought he said all the right things, struck all the right notes, ready for the moment while also not making it about him and making it about Bo Nix and the injury he suffered and the rest of the Broncos. So that was a huge headline. Sean Payton talking more about Jarrett Stidham was a big headline. Bo Nix, we heard from him for the first time with a lengthy post on Instagram that we will get into. The Bills had an off-the-rail press conference that kind of involved the Broncos in a roundabout way. And, of course, the injury news. And there was a lot of good injury news today. James, let's start with Stiddy, though, man. Don't know if you've gotten a chance to hear his comments. We will play plenty of them over the next 25 minutes as we do what's called the sweep here on DST. But did anything jump out from getting to hear from Jarrett Stidham for the first time since, the preseason?
I mean, I'm with you. He said all the right things, and he was, poised, and he had good composure, and, it was good. I don't know if it's the Brock Osweiler thing. We've had a lot of guys come through here before who've been really good at the Wednesday press conferences. I just care what you do on Sunday, but, it could have been worse. It could have been bad, right? We both remember VJ's initial introductory press conferences to head coach, and we're like, uh-oh, that was trouble, right? So while the pressers don't always mean a ton, you can read a little into it, and he sounded like a starting quarterback. So, okay, doesn't mean he's going to go out and dazzle everyone, but sure, I wasn't as excited as you, but sure, I'll give him credit for being good at the podium.
All right, well, how about this? How about how he started it with a question from our own Cecil Lammy about fans embracing him, Jarrett Stidham. We've seen all the social media memes and people changing their profile pictures and really buying into Stiddy for the city and all that. Here is Jarrett Stidham on that, and this is why I loved it, because he didn't want to talk about himself. He wanted to talk about Bo Nix.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is not about myself. First of all, I want to obviously my thoughts and prayers have been with Bo since Saturday night. I mean, it's crushing because he's one of my best friends, and Sam and I were talking about this. Like, Sam and I probably spend more time with him than his wife does right now, and that's just the nature of the business that we're in. When training camp starts, like, that's just how it is. Like, I see Bo more than I see my kids, so it's just one of those things. You spend so much time with someone, you see how hard they work, how good of a teammate they are, and then that happens, and you feel crushed, for him and everything. So, obviously my prayers and stuff have been with him.
I mean, classy, very classy, right, James, for him to just not even take that first question about him or about football, about anything, but just his emotions with Bo. And he says stuff that does catch your attention of, like, hey, Sam, and he's talking about Sam Ellinger. We were saying we spend more times with each other than we do with our wives. Jarrett said, I see Bo more than I see my kids. Bo gets all the headlines, and rightfully so. He deserves them. But that doesn't mean Stidham's not down there at Broncos Park, powered by Common Spirits, 6 days a week for some long days. I like the tone he set there from the jump. I thought it was the right move by Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. It was the right move. Deflect it away from yourself and toward your teammate, especially a teammate that, a tough break, literally and figuratively, right? So I get that. I also don't 100% buy it. You can't convince me, Will, that there's not a part of him that's not looking at this going, all right, here's my chance. I'm excited about it. I get to go show everybody I can be a starter in this league. If I win this game, if I win a Super Bowl, hey, maybe I do get a chance to be a starter for somebody and big money down the road and all the rest of that stuff. Like, it's human nature. So I'm not going to act like he doesn't have a little bit of those thoughts going through it where, hey, bad for Bo, but good for me. And somebody else's misfortune can be your gain, and that's part of this equation too. That's just the reality.
No, it definitely is. It's a good point by you, one I hadn't considered. That I think he was being genuine. I think you and I are on the same page there. He feels bad for Bo Nix, but he's not a robot, right? And he's the guy, when Bo breaks his ankle, all of Broncos country feels instantly deflated. There might have been one person who's not so deflated because he's the guy who's up next, and that's Jarrett Stidham. You're not playing quarterback. I'm not playing quarterback. All the fans aren't playing quarterback, but Jarrett himself, something he has openly campaigned that he's a starter in this league. He gets a chance to prove it in arguably the second biggest stage in American sports, behind obviously the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and if he's a competitor, which he obviously is, you get to this point, I don't care if you're a backup quarterback. You get to the professional sports in any sport, you're a competitor, then you're looking at this going, you're excited about it. It's your chance. It's your opportunity. And, everybody in the sports world is going to be watching it. Certainly every football fan is going to be watching it. So I'd be upset if he wasn't excited about it. I'd be upset if he didn't look at it as like, hey, this is a golden opportunity that's been given to me. I don't necessarily buy the whole notion. And, we've been hearing this since Saturday. Oh, he really is a starting quarterback. Broncos are so lucky they got a guy as a backup that should be a starter in this league. It's like, no, he's not. He started 4 games for a reason. He was a free agent this offseason, and he re-signed with the Broncos to be a backup as opposed to signing with someone else to be their starter for a reason. Doesn't mean he can't get it done in a one-game, in a one-off or in a two-game sample size. I'm not trying to be negative, but let's also just be realistic. Jarrett Stidham is a backup quarterback for a reason. That's what he is at the NFL level. We just need him to play at his at his very best for a 8-quarter stint here. That's what we need.
Yeah, they need, they got to start with 4 good quarters, and then you're right. Hopefully it turns into 8 quarters. Okay, so that was the message to Bo, but there's obviously an X's and O's conversation to be had here, including whether or not Stiddy actually is a starter in this league. So how does he balance playing free, which he needs to do, he can't play scared, but also not playing recklessly? And here's what he said.
Yeah, look, I think what I always go back to in any game, regular season, preseason, AFC Championship, it's still the same game. So obviously there's implications and winner advances, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's still football, and that's how I view it. So I'm not treating it any differently. I'm not treating my preparation any differently. I'm just going to go out there and play and be myself. I think that's the biggest thing is, I'm not going to try to be somebody that I'm not, and I know how I can play, and I know the kind of guys I got around me and the kind of team that we have, so we all just have to play within ourselves.
So just going to be himself, not try to force anything. I actually like that he's saying that out loud, because to me it means that's been coached into his head already in these first 3-4 days since they've gotten the news, that they don't want him to try to go out there and be Superman, because if he does, he'll throw multiple interceptions, he'll turn the ball over, and the Broncos will lose, and the Patriots will go to the Super Bowl. That, I think, is important, James, because I think the path to victory, however unlikely it may be, the path to victory is Stiddy manages the game, they somehow run the football, and the defense plays out of its mind.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. He just, his first thing is he just needs to not make mistakes, right? Like, not that you're going to play a perfect game, but not turn the ball over, not take sacks that turn 2nd and 8 into 3rd and 18, things like that are just drive killers or that give the Patriots easy points. Like, just avoid that. If you can make New England drive 80 yards every time to get a touchdown, okay, I'll believe in Denver's defense to keep them in the game. If they've got a bunch of short fields, that's going to be problematic. I also, it's good to hear him say it, and I think if you tell yourself something enough, you start to believe it. I think for the most part, he's right. It's football, except for 2 very distinct points in the game. I think right away, out of the gate, it's not any other game, right? He hasn't started in a while, hasn't played in a while. The pomp and circumstance, you're going to know you're playing in the AFC title game. And then I think at the end of the game, if it's close, this isn't, an August game against the Cardinals against a bunch of guys that are selling cell phones in 2 weeks, right? You realize, hey, if we win this, if I pull off this drive, we're going to the Super Bowl. It's impossible to not think that way, but I think 90% of the game, other than the first 5% and the last 5%, yeah, you're just playing football. So he's got to control his emotions early. And then, dude, let's hope they're in a position where those last few minutes of the game matter and he's got a chance. That would be terrific. And, I don't believe for a second he's just going to be acting like, oh, this is just any other game at that point. And that's okay. Nobody else would be. But you just don't know how – he doesn't know how he's going to react in that situation. We don't know how he's going to react in that situation because he's never been there. But, man, if they get to that point, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, think about Bo Nix last week, down 27-23, 4 minutes on the clock. And, yeah, I was nervous. I was pacing around my living room like I'm sure most of Broncos country was. But I also knew he had a chance, right? I knew he had a chance to pull it off, and he did. And he found Marvin Mims on an incredible touchdown to put Denver up 30-27. If the Broncos are down 4 points and they have the ball with 4 minutes left, at least they've got a shot at the Super Bowl. But I agree with what you said there. I don't know how many people are going to be talking themselves into Stiddy's going to go do what Bo just did against the Bills 8 days before.
No, I'm with you. A couple of things there, though. We've talked for 2 years of, all right, do the Broncos have their guy? Do they have their guy? Is Bo the guy? Is he the quarterback of the future? And I felt exactly like you did with 4 minutes to go. I think that is the most definitive answer to that question you could have. They're down 27-23 in a playoff game to the Bills, and we didn't feel nervous with 4 minutes left because we thought he was going to go deliver. That's your guy, right? So, first of all, that question's answered. And then I won't feel great about it I'll be excited they have a chance, but I'll be sitting there going, oh, man, is this going to be like when we've seen other quarterbacks come through here where they're game managers and then you put them in that situation and they can't execute because it's not just, hey, try and get a good down and distance, try and keep the defense off balance. Like all of a sudden you got to, throw the ball into the teeth of a zone defense and make plays and do that kind of thing. We've seen Trevor Siemian and guys like that in that situation not be able to pull it off. I'm not comparing Stiddy to Trev. I'm just saying we don't know. We know with Bo, we don't know what Stidham would be able to do in that situation. But again, let's hope we get to find out.
Yeah, it'd be great. I mean, obviously, if the Broncos are still in the game, based on the spread being what it is, we've talked about odds makers say it would be -1.5 Denver if Bo was starting. It's now +5.5 because Jarrett's starting. 5.5 plus 1.5 is 7. So they're saying literally the downgrade from Nix to Stidham is worth an entire touchdown. I'm just hoping, and maybe this is me not being confident enough, but I'm just hoping that come, let's call it 3:30 on Sunday, you're still on the edge of your couch, and it's still a really competitive football game. We remember Super Bowls, and you remember them well, where 2.5 hours in, you were not on the edge of your couch. We remember some AFC title games. I think about the Pittsburgh one here that got away from them early, where you kind of just knew they were going to lose. If by 3:30 on Sunday they're still in the football game, at least to quote Gary Kubiak, we're fixing to find out if Stidham can do it. If they're down 27-3, we're just fixing to be sad.
Yeah, exactly. And, you and I are going ahead and getting a jump on what we're going to write after the game. I much prefer, I have no idea what I'm going to do, and it's a blank screen with 2 minutes to go because we don't know how this thing's turning out.
Correct.
And look, I think they have a puncher's chance. If this game was in New England, it'd be such a different conversation. And the odds of a guy who hasn't played all year and a career backup going on the road and pulling off a win, I think that's a 10% chance. I think when you're playing at home and you can get the crowd behind you and you get the momentum and, you get a defense that can make a couple of plays because the other team, has a hard time communicating and all those kind of things, I think it turns it into a coin flip type of a game. I really do. And I think Jarrett Stidham will go out there and avoid mistakes that get his team in trouble. Now, what they need to do, though, is, all right, let's look at the odds, and you talked about it. It's a touchdown difference. You got to make up that touchdown somewhere, right? Can you make it up on defense? All right, well, they supposedly have this great defense, which didn't look very good against Buffalo, but okay, they supposedly have this great defense.
Hold on, James. They had 5 takeaways. I mean, that's a big deal.
And never forced a punt.
Right, but if they don't have 5 takeaways, they lose by 20 points, James.
If Josh Allen had played well, they give up 50 points. Like, they were terrible. I mean,
well, they forced Josh's hand. I mean, the Nick Bonito strip sack looked an awful lot like Von Miller. I'm talking about the one at the start of the third quarter where he came off the edge. And
the P.J. Locke interception's a touchdown by 90% of college quarterbacks.
And Jaquan McMillan made like an iconic play in Broncos country that we'll remember forever, and he did it in overtime.
And if Josh Allen doesn't throw that off his back foot because he just trusts his arm and throws it out there, that's a touchdown too. He had him beat by 2 steps. Regardless, the defense forced turnovers, which hadn't done all year. They had 14 all year, and they forced 5. So that was a nice change, and it's why the game was close, and that's why they had a chance. But I don't think they played very, very well in that game. If they play like that on Sunday, they're going to lose. But they have to make up a touchdown. Do you make it up on defense? Do you make it up on special teams? But the thing you can't do, Will, is you can't give the Patriots a freebie, right? Like you can't give up a kick return or a punt return. You can't have a pick six because now all of a sudden that 7 points you got to make up is 14, and that's just too big of a gap. That's just too deep of a hole.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. The whole mistake-free thing, right? That's easy for us to say, but they quite literally probably have to play mistake-free to go to the Super Bowl. Even one mistake in this game on a bad fumble or a bad pick or a special teams error. You know, Darren Rizzi's really turned it around the last couple months, but the first 2 months were not pretty to watch on that portion of the ball. Like they literally have to play 60 minutes without a back-breaking mistake, or in my eyes, they can't win this football game.
I'm with you. Here's another one. Let's go back to the Buffalo game. If Jarrett Stidham throws a perfect pass to little Jordan Humphrey for a touchdown,
he's got to catch it.
You can't drop it and settle for a field goal.
Yep.
It's unrealistic to ask him to go out there and make multiple really good plays. When he makes really good plays, right, the right read, the right throw, it's on time and it's accurate. Like, his teammates have to help him out. And in that instance, it's not even having to elevate his game to help him out. Just do your job. That's the kind of mistakes, too, that they just can't afford, because that's just giving up 4 points when you're having to settle for short field goals. So it's that kind of thing. I do think, though, there's a bit of a danger of this whole got to go out there and just not make mistakes, because they have to find a middle ground. You can't just be handed off and dink and dunk, and any drive that ends in a punt, in a kick, as long is fine. Well, if all you do is punt all day, you got 0 points at the end of the game. Like, you got to push it a little bit. You got to take your shots when they're there. It's just, pick your spots. So my worry, and we haven't really heard it from Sean Payton at all. We haven't really heard it from Jarrett Stidham, maybe a little bit today, in terms of, playing within himself and all the rest of that stuff. But my concern is they go out there and they're too conservative. That's a recipe to get beat too. You gotta find that sweet spot, and that's gonna be tricky, because you don't know where that sweet spot is, because we've seen so little of Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too that Sean did go on the record today to say Jarrett's going to let it rip, right? But what if letting it rip leads to a 2 of 9 start for 17 yards and an interception? Then your gut is to kind of cocoon, right? And just be like, well, fetal position, we're in trouble. But the problem is, if he goes 2 of 9 for 17 yards and a pick, you may be down 10 or 14-0, and then you have to throw the ball. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there of, yeah, Sean, that's great. You want Jarrett to let it rip, but you have to thread that needle of letting it rip just enough that you can't play scared, but also not creating some sort of impossible double-digit deficit, because you came out way too aggressive and way too hyped up in what obviously is going to be a super electric atmosphere.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think the biggest challenge for the Broncos offense, whether it's Sean Payton as the play caller, it's Jarrett Stidham playing quarterback, or it's his teammates, I think Jarrett Stidham will be able to get relatively close to matching what Bo Nix can do as a passer. The problem is the Broncos also lost their most dangerous rusher. I mean, he was their best guy on the ground against the Bills, and it wasn't even close. He had more carries than all the running backs combined. How do they make up for that? Because all of a sudden, at some point, it's, okay, R.J. Harvey has to play better. Jaleel has to play better. Maybe J.K.'s back on the field, but what is a realistic expectation for him if he does play? I think making up for the yardage that Bo Nix gets on the ground, I think is going to be a challenge. And then the other part of it is he doesn't get sacked a lot. And part of that's the system, gets rid of the ball quick. Part of that's the offensive line. But there's also a lot of times, where he just buys time with his ability to move, and it doesn't show up in the stat sheet. Heck, a lot of times it maybe shows up as an incompletion on the stat sheet. But again, it's 2nd and 6 is 3rd and 6 instead of 2nd and 6 turning into 3rd and 16. Those are the plays that I don't know if Jarrett Stidham can make those plays. And I know he was a dual threat quarterback coming out of high school and all the rest of that. And I know if you think back to the preseason games, and I remember writing about this, that, hey, their running attack last year was a problem with the Broncos. It hasn't been any better in the preseason because Jarrett Stidham had their longest run. So he showed some moments in the preseason that he can do it. But I don't know if he's at Bo Nix's level on that. That to me is a big, big mystery.
Well, it's so strange to be previewing an AFC title game with you with so many unknowns, right? Think about if Matt Prater misses the field goal, or if the holding is called on the Bills for the safety and the Broncos win an OT on that and go home winners 32-30. I mean, we would just be sitting here tonight doing Broncos-Patriots preview, right? Like, feels like old times. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. Now it's Bo Nix, Drake May. We're getting our first taste of supremacy in the 2024 QB class. All that stuff. And it's so strange to be going into the biggest game of the year with so many unknowns. And I think that's why there's so many strong opinions in Broncos country, because there's not a lot of evidence to cite on either side of the argument. Stidham's going to be great or Stidham's going to be a disaster, when the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I think either extreme, I think, is sort of ridiculous, right? I think to say he's going to be a disaster, there's no evidence to suggest that. But like the same token, to say he's going to be great is just looking at life through orange-colored glasses.
Right?
Like that's the part of it that gets under my skin. Of like, listen, I'm all for being positive. I'm all for being hopeful. I actually do think he can pull it off for a game. We'll worry about Super Bowl 60 if and when they get there, because I have a theory on that. But I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. But look, he's 1-3 as a starter. He's thrown 8 touchdowns and 8 picks. That's the sample size we have to look at. To say that shows that he's going to be a disaster, I think is completely unfair to both Jarrett Stidham and Sean Payton and the entire team. But I think to say, hey, this guy could be a starter for half the teams in the league and some of the nonsense you hear, I think is also completely inaccurate and unfair. So it's somewhere in the middle, but none of us know. None of us know. So I think to have a strong opinion on what we're going to see out of Jarrett Stidham is just foolish. Nobody knows. You might guess and be right, and you can have a tweet that you can screenshot and tell everybody you were correct about it. But that's all it was. It was a total guess. None of us know.
And I think that's what makes this week frustrating. Obviously, Bo breaking his ankle is the thing that makes it the most frustrating. But the fact that this feels like a rookie about to make his debut. Yeah, you've seen college tape, and you got the picture of him shaking the commissioner's hand at the podium, but you don't know. And with Bo Nix, we've watched him play 2 full years of football. We would know exactly the formula if Bo was still the quarterback of how they're going to the Super Bowl. And now with Jarrett as the quarterback, I mean, do you hear what I'm saying on why that's kind of making this preview, if you will, a little frustrating? It's just the lack of substance to go off of?
Oh, completely. And then the other part of it that, I think people can say whatever they want. If Bo Nix was playing on Sunday, the number of people who would have already booked their flights to San Francisco would be a heck of a lot higher than it is right now. Right? Like, we're all hopeful. We all think he can pull it off. I do. I think he can pull it off. I think Stidham can win a game at home against the Patriots. Heck, he's going to play better than C.J. Stroud did. And the Texans were in that game in Foxborough in a blizzard up until, the last few minutes of the game. So he can't possibly be that bad. So I think they have a chance. But I think if Bo was playing and coming off that win, and it was such a great game and the high of it, this town would have been unlike anything we've seen certainly in 10 years. But I think the euphoria would have been maybe not matching what it was back, in 97, 98, the back-to-back years. Probably not matching what it was in 77. But, man, after this long of a drought, I think Bronco Mania would have returned in such a huge way, and people going crazy and painting their houses and things like that. And it's taken that away because we're all just sitting here going, we'll see. And that's okay. That's the realistic and proper way to look at it. But it is definitely a we'll see and be cautiously optimistic. I think that's the best you can do.
No, I think that's a fair point, because what would it be like right now, James, if Bo Nix walked into Target? Don't you think he'd be getting stopped every 30 seconds? It's Bo Nix. Can I get a picture? Can we do a picture? Can we get an autograph? Here's Jarrett Stidham on if he's been out in public and heard from fans.
I have not. I think I went to Target with my kids earlier this week. It's been about it. So no.
Noticed you?
No, incognito. Nobody noticed.
Think about that. He went to Target. The guy who's going to start the AFC title game. Imagine if Matt Stafford walked into Target right now, or Sam Darnold, or Drake May. Jarrett Stidham took his kids to Target. Great. He's playing dad. He's doing dad stuff. And not a single person, I assume somewhere in the suburbs of Denver, knew that guy is starting the AFC title game here in 4 days.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy when you think about it that way, right? Like, just such an anonymous guy that is starting for one of the final 4 teams. I will say this, though, right? I mean, Sam Darnold has a grand total of 1 more playoff win than Jarrett Stidham. Drake May has a grand total of 2 more playoff wins than Jarrett Stidham, and they've come in the last 2 weeks. Matthew Stafford has 7, and he's got 70% of them from the final 4 quarterbacks here. So it's not as though they're going up against Brady and the Patriots. And I think Drake May is going to be a really good quarterback. But he wasn't sensational against the Texans. He wasn't. And I think you look at it and say, okay, he's still a young guy. You could get him to make some mistakes, and he could be impacted by the crowd, and much more than if it was a veteran coming in here that you'd be worried. I'd be much more worried about Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson coming in here than Drake May. And that's no disrespect to Drake May. He's just a young quarterback. I think a young quarterback could have a disastrous day, and the moment could be too big for him. We don't know. So it is crazy, though, when he tells that story that he went to Target. He's going to be starting the AFC title game in less than a week, and nobody recognized him. That's wild.
Yeah, great story from Jarrett Stidham today. All right, coming up next, a lot of good health news coming from Broncos Park, powered by Common Spirit. Plus, Bo Nix breaks his silence. What was his message to Broncos country? We will do each on the other side.
The Broncos may be without Bo Nix, but counting them out would be a mistake.
I'm not scared of the Patriots. I'm not scared of Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels coming into Denver. When's the last time they came into Denver and won a big game? So, whatever. Let's go. Buckle up.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Hi, Dan Cicchini with Dunright. Great pricing options and bank financing? You bet. Kitchens, baths, counters and floors, finished basements, windows and doors. Done right since 1985. You have our word, we'll treat you right at Done Right. Visit drhi.com. Thanks.
HelloFresh makes home cooking nutritious, delicious, and exciting. You excited when you get those freezer-burnt, pre-packaged meals in the mail? I know I'm not. Go to HelloFresh.com to explore plans and menus because nothing hits like home cooking.
So, you're ready to propose, huh?
Yeah, man. She's definitely the one.
What are we thinking about the ring? I got my wife's at Hellsberg. I couldn't recommend a better jeweler.
I could use some help with that.
Man, go to Hellsberg. I had no idea how many details you need to consider. Did you know you can get a natural or lab-grown diamond? I didn't. Figure out what she wants. Trust me, they'll make it happen.
Start your story with Hellsberg. Shop in store or at hellsberg.com.
The right financial strategies can make a huge difference, especially if you're nearing retirement. Adam Mueller talks retirement strategies with Mile High Money. Saturday mornings at 8 on Denver Sports 104.3, The Fan.
Hey Broncos country, it's Terrell Davis here. It's a new year. It's time to work on a new you.
At Fitness Gallery, we have deals everywhere, up to 50% off. Visit one of Fitness Gallery's 7 convenient locations from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins. We have you covered.
Hey, the cold weather is here. Stoke here from my friends at ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Has another company told you that you need a new furnace? Time to throw in the challenge flag. Rocks Heating and Air offers no obligation, free second opinions. And don't forget about heat pump rebates. They've never been better. Up to $13,500 only at ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Now play that G.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
Trust and Will.
My dad and I were always close, but some things we just didn't talk about, like his will. After he was gone, we found out he didn't have one, and it created a lot of stress during a time of grief.
Creating a will can be hard to think about, but avoiding it can lead to greater difficulty for the people you love. That's why Trust and Will makes estate planning simple. Create a will online in as little as 30 minutes.
Now, I have a will in place to make sure my loved ones are protected. With Trust and Will, it was easy and affordable. And I got peace of mind knowing my wishes are clear.
Trust and Will.
Get 20% off when you visit trustandwill.com/plan. That's trustandwill.com/plan to get 20% off. trustandwill.com/PLAN.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
A lot of personal injury lawyers make claims about how good they are. But how do you know who's the best? Who will fight to get you the money you deserve? At Berg Simpson, we don't rely on simple claims like other firms. We have 27 best lawyers in America, 17 super lawyers, and we're one of the National Trial Lawyers' top 25 most influential law firms. Compare us to other firms, then call Berg Simpson.
If you've been injured, call Berg Simpson for free now at 303-790-2525. BergSimpson.com. Good lawyers changing lives.
Let me ask you something. Is your money doing everything it can for you?
I don't know. How would I know?
Is it automatically saving for special events and keeping you posted on its progress? Like at Huntington Bank?
Oh, no.
Is it tracking your spending so you can make the best choices at the mall?
Nope.
Or setting limits on your teenager's debit card?
Definitely not.
Then it could certainly be doing more.
Yeah, sure sounds like it.
Let's get more from money. Switch to Huntington Bank. Welcome. Eligibility requirements apply. Some features may require enrollment.
This segment on 104.3 The Fan is brought to you by ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
Every Wednesday of Broncos season, we get an injury report, provided they're playing on Sunday, which they are this weekend. And today's was chock full of good news, James. I mean, I couldn't believe that Pat Bryant practiced limited with his second concussion in a month. Troy Franklin, limited practice coming off that hamstring injury. J.K. Dobbins, who got his window opened on Monday, limited practice with a foot. And your starting center, Luke Wattenberg, is full today, coming back from IR. His window was opened. Very much looks like he's on track to play in the AFC title game. Any of those four, we'll start there just quickly on any of those four surprise you, or kind of like me, just all good news overall?
Honestly, probably the biggest surprise is Wattenberg being full. Like, that to me says he's playing and very well could start, right? It wasn't like, hey, he's limited, he's getting back out there. We'll see. Like, full is a very encouraging sign, so that was great. JK wasn't all that surprising just because we've kind of heard rumors. Like, it was great to hear, and it sort of reinforced what we were hoping to hear. But we that talk has been going on. I think the biggest surprises were Bryant and Franklin, just because we hadn't really heard much. It just happened on Saturday. Bryant with the 2 concussions in the last a handful of weeks. And then the hammy. My concern with those two guys is they play the same position, right? They're both receivers. And, man, they got thin in that game when they were both out. And you can only dress so many guys. It's, hey, are they 100%, or does Troy Franklin pull that the first time he runs a route? And then he's out again. And heaven forbid Pat Bryant takes another hit, because the hit he had to get the first concussion, we all remember. That was gruesome. The one he had to get the second one wasn't that unusual of a play. So you start to worry about, well, okay, it's great that they're back out there, but you got to make sure that they're likely to get through the game. Nothing's guaranteed. It's football. I understand that, but especially when they're both playing the same position, you could get thin in a hurry. That maybe would be my worry, but no, that's all very encouraging. And at the top of my list is Luke Wattenberg.
Yeah, it's good news for the most part, but I'm with you. You just signed a Brandon Johnson to be on your practice squad. If Bryant or Franklin can only give you a handful of plays, then you're just going to wish you had elevated Brandon Johnson or a Michael Bandy that we had seen before, something like that. So, yeah, definitely we'll be curious to monitor. Game statuses come out on Friday. All right, also on the injury report, Bo Nix, quarterback, DNP with an ankle, did not practice. Only Bronco that didn't practice, still on the 53-man roster for now, and delivered a message via Instagram, said in part, the last few days have been hard to put into words. What started as one of the most exciting games I've ever been a part of ended with some of the most devastating football news I've ever received. This is not how I imagined my season would come to an end, but our season has been defined by overcoming adversity and responding to it. I can't express how much this team and organization mean to me and how much I believe in them. I couldn't be more proud of our guys, and I couldn't be more confident in Jared. I also couldn't be more excited for what's next. Goes on to talk about God never says oops, and he is always good. He has big plans for this team. We're not finished. As a matter of fact, we're just getting started. We're just going to keep climbing higher. Go Broncos. Very classy, heartfelt, mature message from Bo Nix today, James, but also raw and honest. Most devastating football news he's ever received.
Yeah, no, I thought that was very well said. It's a pretty perfect message. He can talk about being disappointed, but still have his teammates' backs and still be excited and all the rest of it. I thought he handled it perfectly. Well, and look, give me the tinfoil hat, and I know people are going to laugh at me. I have this weird theory. I think the Broncos look at this as we need Jarrett Stidham to win one game. I think if they get to the Super Bowl, I'm not 100% counting out Bo Nix as being on the field. And here's why. 2 reasons. And I started thinking this on Saturday when Sean Payton came out for his second presser. I thought it was odd, A, that they announced it right away. There's really no need to announce it on Saturday. Right? And why? Why give whoever your opponent was going to be at that point? You didn't know if Patriots or Texans. Why give them any more time to prepare or to even know that news? There's no benefit in it. Why have the surgery so fast? That's the biggest thing of listen, let the swelling go down, stay off your feet. You got all off. If you really are done and you got all off season, you don't have to get operated on 3 days after the game. You get operated on that quick because you want to have as much time between surgery and kickoff of Super Bowl 60 as possible.
All right, well, we just gave you your music, so where are you going with this?
So that's it. The other part of it is, why is he on the injury report if his season is done? Why? Why is he on the active roster? Why don't they use that spot for somebody else? He's out. Why is he on the injury report? If he's 100% done, not going to play, it's completely over. I think Bo Nix, if the Broncos can pull it off with Jarrett Stidham, I think Bo Nix is the starter in Super Bowl 60.
Oh, there it is. Bo Nix got the surgery so quickly. He's still on the 53. He's on the injury report as a DNP today and not sitting on IR because if the Broncos can pull it off on Sunday, you think Bo Nix has a shot to play in Santa Clara here in about 2.5 weeks?
Yeah, give him the Mahomes Super Bowl boot. Let him go. Why is he not on injured reserve? Why?
I don't know. I don't have a good answer to that question. I don't have a good answer to that question, James. And because he's not on IR, he had to be listed on the injury report today.
Right, but it's well, why is he not? That is odd to me. And maybe there's only a small percentage chance, and maybe they didn't know until they had the surgery. So hey, let's get it done. See, and we have no way of knowing. Hey, was it better than expected? Worse than expected? No idea. But I just think it's bizarre that A, they did it so fast, and B, he's not on injured reserve and he's still on the injury report. Somebody has to explain that to me.
James,
before I sit here and say, well, there's a 0% chance he's playing in the Super Bowl.
All right, you once told me, and it was a line you like to use, and we're going back, 8-9 years ago, but you once told me I'm connecting dots that don't exist. Are you connecting dots here that don't exist?
No, I'm not. Because anytime something happens and there's no logical explanation for it, you have to ask the question, why? Why did they come out on Saturday and tell everybody that he was injured and his season was over? Why?
Because Sean wanted to get out in front of it so the team didn't hear through the media. That was what he said, at least.
Well, don't tell the media. Don't leak it to anybody. How many people knew at that point? Bo and George and Sean? You can't keep something under wraps a little bit better than that. They keep stuff under wraps over there all the time. And the people in the media that would have known about, when's the last media story that got broken because somebody was hiding in bushes and saw Bo Nix limping into the facility and to get an X-ray? That's not how it happens anymore. Somebody texts, one of the beat guys or texts Shefty or texts Ian Rappaport and says, hey, here's the news we want out. I guess 1985, there aren't 3 newspapers and everybody's trying to one-up each other. It's just, that's not what's happening. I don't buy that. So why did they do that, and why did they have surgery so fast?
To get the rehab process going as quick as possible would be what I'd say.
For what? If you read about it, and there's various different things, but it's not as though this is a torn ACL, and Patrick Mahomes has to get surgery as soon as possible because the recovery time is 9 to 12 months, and he's trying to get ready for the start of the season. If Bo Nix would have got surgery in 3 weeks, he'd still be he's probably out there for all the offseason stuff. There's no rush to do it. So why get it done on Tuesday?
I love it. You're calling your shot, man. Listen, if they somehow win and Bo Nix plays in the Super Bowl, I will replay this segment over and over again because you're the only person saying it, and I love it, and you got me a little excited. I'm not going to lie. Dante Gomez has a thought he wants to get in here too.
Along with what James was saying there, wouldn't it be more beneficial for the Broncos to not announce this, muddy the waters, and have the Patriots not be prepared?
Correct.
Little gamesmanship, yeah.
Just list him as all of a sudden he didn't play. He didn't practice this week. Just like Sam Darnold didn't practice at the end of last week because he had the oblique. Drew Lock was taking every snap. That just gave the Niners something else to think about and prepare for, right? So, you got to put out an injury report. They would have had to put out today that he didn't practice. Okay. The Patriots would have found out on Wednesday that Bo Nix was injured and might not play. Why would you not do that? Why? All of a sudden the Broncos are forthcoming with information? Since when? And that's not a criticism at all. Like, that's just how they operate. It's how they should operate. It's not just full transparency on everything that's going on, but why all of a sudden on this one are they just fully transparent? We just had to come in and tell you. No, they had to come tell him because he was getting on a bird on Tuesday, going and getting surgery, and trying to give himself as many days as possible to be on the field for Super Bowl 60.
I love it. I hope you're right. I'm not sure you got me totally sold, but you got me thinking. Will you take that as a win?
Sure. 19 days, and you hear a lot of different stuff, and we've all heard Zach's thing that he did with Dr. Ramos, and it was great breaking down the injury, and depending on exactly how it was, clean break, not a clean break. You hear everything from 4 to 6 weeks to, multiple months, but let's just say it was the 4 to 6 week type, right? Let's just say. You're telling me at 19 days, almost 3 weeks, you can't, spat those cleats a little bit more and give him a shot and run him out there? I'm just not buying it.
All right, something to keep an eye on for sure. But yeah, definitely a little curious. Bo Nix not on IR on the Broncos injury report as a DNP today. All right, how about the mystery of a backup quarterback? How much will that help the Broncos? Plus, Bills owner Terry Pegula said something a little wacky today. We will bring you both those stories next.
His season came to an unfortunate end, but Bo Nix has the future for the Denver Broncos looking incredibly bright.
Let's be honest, we started the year saying, I don't know how the season's going to play out, but the most important thing is when it's all said and done, can we feel sure that we've got the quarterback of the future? Well, wow, I guess that question's been answered emphatically.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Are your investments in the right accounts? What's best, traditional or Roth? Are you receiving all available tax deductions? Are you paying as little in tax as you can? These are all questions you can't afford to get wrong. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth, and in many cases, it's not what you make, but it's what you keep that makes the real difference. Trajan Wealth and Trajan Tax work closely together exclusively. No more guessing about whether you should do a Roth conversion, or if maxing out your 401k is really the best option. Our nationally recognized fiduciary advisors and CPA team work in tandem to make sure your tax strategy works with your investment strategy. We'll even do your tax preparation. One team, one strategy. Isn't it time for a second opinion? Call Trajan today, 720-204-8100. That's 720-204-8100.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing a lawyer, but getting some guy who just watches courtroom dramas.
How does the defendant plead?
Guilty. Wait, what?
Also, objection. You object to what?
Erroneous.
Counsel, approach the bench.
Hey, can I get a whack at the gavel?
You wouldn't settle for just any lawyer, so don't settle for just any insurance. Get the real deal with State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
With other language learning apps, I was just playing games. I wasn't really learning. Babbel's different.
Babbel was designed by over 200 language learning experts to be the most effective way to learn another language.
Every time I open the app, I can choose to work on my writing, speaking, or listening. And it saves my mistakes for me to review, so I'm constantly improving. Before Babbel, I thought I just wasn't good with languages. But now I'm speaking French. Tout ça, c'est grâce à Babbel.
Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
Get a double dose of Division I basketball action on Saturday, January 24th at the University of Denver. Tip off the day at 11 a.m. as the DU women host ORU, followed by the men at 2 p.m. versus North Dakota. It will be a Saturday of nonstop action in Hamilton Gym. Join us for Denver basketball. Get your tickets today online at DenverPioneers.com.
Are you worrying about those upcoming credit card bills after the holidays? If you're a homeowner, there's no better time than now to call American Financing and wipe out that debt. Eliminate the stress and set yourself up for a strong 2026. The Fed dropped rates for the 4th time in December, guys. American Financing can help you access that equity in your home at an interest rate in the low 5s. You heard that right, in the low 5s. That's a much lower rate than the average 20% or more credit card rate. American Financing is saving their customers an average of $800 a month. Guys, that's like a $10,000 raise to start the new year. There are no upfront fees and no obligation to see how much you can save. And they are closing some in as fast as 10 days and even delaying 2 mortgage payments. Call American Financing, Colorado's home for home loans, at 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000, or visit them online at americanfinancing.net. NMLS 182334 and MLSConsumerAccess.org. APR for rates in the 5 start at 6.196% for well-qualified buyers. Call 303-695-7000 for details about credit costs and terms.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install a Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
New deals, new wheels. AutoNation's New Year, New Wheels event is going on now. Drive any new or used vehicle 0 down and 0 payments for 90 days. Save thousands on Toyotas, Fords, Hondas, Chevys, Mercedes-Benz, and more. 0 down and 0 payments for 90 days. Hurry to your nearest AutoNation store today or AutoNation.com. On select models with approved credit. Interest accrues from date of purchase on deferred payments. See store for details.
Stay up to date on the Broncos and the latest news from around the league with our NFL insider James Palmer, exclusively on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Mondays on The Rundown with Richie Carney, Tuesday afternoons on The Drive, and Friday mornings on Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, all season long. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
All right, James Merilatt's theory getting a lot of reaction on the RamosLaw.com text line, 303-713-1043. 1658 said, I had the same thought as James's conspiracy. 8383, that's a nice hot take, James. And then 9198, James Merilatt is the best comedian in Colorado. So a nice wide variety of people who are taking it in and saying, oh, maybe there is something to Bo Nix could play in the Super Bowl. And then also folks that, are texting in, he's going to be out months. This doesn't make sense.
Well, let me ask you this. He played last season with broken vertebrae in his back, right?
He did.
Did he have surgery to get those repaired after the season?
I can't remember. I know the back injury was revealed. I remember being down there when he told everyone about it after the Bills lost, but I can't remember if surgery was involved or not.
And I don't either, but he revealed it Monday afterward. I don't think he got operated on the next day. So if you didn't get your back operated on as soon as the season was over, why are you getting your ankle operated on?
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question. Yeah.
We've all known people who've had back surgery. That's a long recovery, man. That's tough. Like, talk about wanting to get the clock running. And, maybe it did heal itself. I don't know a lot of back injuries that heal itself, but they have guys all the time who get injured. Well, like there'll be somebody on Sunday, unfortunately, who gets injured. Do they get surgery on Tuesday?
Probably not, but they also don't play as high profile position as Bo Nix does.
Okay, but I don't know if all it is about is getting ready for next season. What position they play doesn't matter. It's trying to get ready for next season. And very few of them have surgery 2 or 3 days after the game. And typically it's because they want to have the swelling go down. Unfortunately, I had to just go through this. My son had ACL injury. His surgery was 3 or 4 weeks after he had the injury. So I just think it's weird that he had it done that fast for something that doesn't take the entire offseason to recover from. There's no need to get it done on Tuesday unless you're trying to get ready for 19 days later.
I love it. I hope you're right, man. We'll certainly be keeping an eye on it. But in the meantime, it is going to be Jarrett Stidham, at least this weekend, against the Patriots. And Dan Orlovsky was on the morning show with Mike Evans and Brandon Stokely and Mark Schlereth and had a really interesting theory on the mystery surrounding Jarrett Stidham.
Defensive guys say this all the time. Sometimes it's harder for them to play against a backup quarterback because they know less. They know less about the coach's flow, play calling wise. They know less tendency of the quarterback. They don't know what the quarterback is necessarily good and or bad at. And so I do think it's not out of the realm that Denver can find a way to win.
I mean, I love that answer from Orlovsky, and just in the terms of, yeah, we all know Jarrett Stidham is a downgrade from Bo Nix. But if we're going to look for positives and we're going to look for upside here, the fact that the Patriots don't have any tape, at least not much significant tape on this guy, is a huge benefit to the Broncos in terms of the ability for New England to prepare is not, quote-unquote, quite as easy as it would be if they were facing Bo Nix, strictly from a preparation standpoint, maybe not from an on-field execution standpoint.
Yeah, I think there's a little something to that. I think especially early in the game, you got so many coaches up in the booth that they'll start to figure that stuff out as the game goes on. But I think early in the game, you can probably catch New England by surprise. And, I think back to, look, Brock Osweiler was a key part of the 2015 run. He's in the conversation for best backup quarterbacks in the history of the Broncos. Bubby Brister, during the 98 run, went 4-0 when John couldn't play. I think you could have trotted anybody out with that group and probably went 4-0 because that team was so good. But he was really good. Gary Kubiak falls in that conversation. But I think back to Kubes, and most of the times he played, he played in a game in Washington when Elway couldn't play because he got food poisoning, eating chipped beef at the White House, and they won 14-7. So yeah, Gary played fine, but it's also the defense rises to the occasion, right? That's part of it. So yeah, you can catch the opposition by a little bit by surprise, but I think it's also teammates rally around you. And typically speaking, I don't think this applies to Sunday because of the situation, but typically speaking, there's kind of no pressure on the backup. Nobody expects you to go out there and win and do anything. This is going to be a little bit different, but the element of surprise, it's a slight advantage. I don't know that I'd call it huge.
Yeah, well, we're reaching here a little bit, right? We're trying to find things to be optimistic about. I appreciate, as we all do, Dan Orlovsky coming on with the fellas. All right, last thing I want to run by you. Did you catch any wind of this kind of insane Bills press conference today?
I didn't. I missed it, so I'm dying to hear what Terry Pegula had to say.
Yeah, so I mean, there's not even really much audio because it's just. A question went to Brandon Beane, who's the GM/president, about why did the Bills lose the game or why did they come up short? And Pegula kind of lashes out, James, and goes, a bad call, like on a hot mic 3 feet away when the camera's not even focused on him. It just cracked me up. It's like, you're really going to say a bad call into a hot mic? I'm sure the rest of the NFL owners weren't real pleased with that moment.
I kind of like it though, right? Like, listen, I think the call was right. I do
too.
But if roles were reversed, we'd be screaming and yelling about it. It's like, Mark Cuban used to act like I figured I would act if I was an owner. I'd be saying that too. So I kind of get it. They lost because the guy they fired didn't go into the locker room down 17-10 and thought he could get something done in 17 seconds with no timeouts, which was silly.
Yeah, you're right. Those 3 points.
Huge.
Those 3 points, yeah. It's Terry Pegula's first presser in 6 years that he just lashes out. A bad call!
That's awesome. His daughter is like a tennis player, wrote like on something after a tournament, it was a catch or something like that. So yeah, they're certainly salty about it, that's for sure.
If people want to go see it, DenverSports.com. Tons of content up on the website. A very busy day in Broncos country. For Dante and James, I'm Will. It's DST on the Fan.
Tune into The Rundown with Richie Carney every weekday at noon on YouTube, Facebook, or X. Presented in part by The Birdie Bar, Louisville's premier indoor golf bar experience. Check out this week's live music, trivia, and other fantastic events at thebirdie.bar on the web and Instagram. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Men, the new year is here, and if you're like many of us, you're ready to improve your health. But if you're feeling low energy, not sleeping well, or not seeing results in the gym, keeping that resolution can be tough. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if those symptoms sound familiar, we can likely help. They often point to low